How y'all doing? It's been a while. Thought I'd make a video tonight, because I'm at a point in my life where I see myself turning back into the person that I once was, the person that I hated, a person who was scared, a person who lived their life by fear. Oh, if I do this for that person, they're gonna think they can use me, right? I'm scared of love. I'm scared of being in a relationship with a female because of my prior experiences. Living my life in fear again. And that fear has proven to be an agent of Satan. I say this because the path I've been going down for the past 8 months to a year, well, I mean, you guys know how long it's been, however long since I posted my last video. I even started giving up before that, honestly. You could tell because I went from posting every day to maybe posting once a month, to every 2 months, to just disappearing. I find myself being around people that I know would steal from me behind my back, that I know I can't trust. People that I was once myself, people that I grew up around, and I let into my life after they would screw me over again and again and again, because I was scared that I wasn't worthy of having real friends, or real people in my life that really cared about me. I didn't believe I was worthy of it. I didn't believe anybody could ever actually accept and love me. I find myself back in that cycle, where I hang out with people that do the things that I used to do because I've lost faith in myself and believing that I'm any better. Right now, there are drugs in front of this camera. Be straight up with you guys. That's how far I've fallen. Doing things that I said I would never do again, even though I've lost family members to drug addiction, I've lost friends. Things that, I still haven't coped with, honestly, because it's just too painful to think about. And all that is to say that it has led me right back to where I am right now, where I barely have any faith, if any at all. I'll be honest. I say my prayers, but I try to say my Our Father every night. It's not the same as it used to be, though. It's not even close. I used to spend hours with God, with Jesus. I knew His presence. I felt His presence. I'll never say that. I'll never lose my belief in Jesus Christ being God. I won't. But I'll say this. I have come to a point where I doubt His presence in my life, or I doubt His hand on my life. And the past few days, I've had a lot of eye-openers. A lot of situations, like I said, seem to repeat. And I realized this because I was talking to my father about it. I said to him. I said, I don't understand why I keep getting around people, the same type of people, over and over and over again. Same thing, same situations, just different places and different faces. And I realized it when I said that. just been thinking about it past few days. You know, I'm going back and using drugs that I said I never would use again. Hanging out with people I said I would never associate with again. Doing things I said I would never do again. And it's hard. It's difficult. I've come to a point where I'm so mentally, physically exhausted that I can't even clean my room. And that's not like me. It's like the old me. The old me didn't clean his room. The old me would live in filth and not even care. It's embarrassing, but I'll be honest with you guys. I don't know when it was, probably 3 or 4 years ago. When I was with the girl that ended up breaking my heart twice. And, you know, I'm not saying that she made me because I did it myself. Did it to myself. After her, I started putting up walls. Because I've always been scared of females. Of what they could do to me. You know what I mean? My mom left me when I was 2 years old. My stepmom, she broke my trust very hard. I mean, she, when I was 9 years old, got me started on the weed, and I never stopped. You know what I mean? Now, a year and a half ago, whenever I started this YouTube channel and I was doing it every day, and I was on fire for the Lord, it's the only time in my life that I was sober from everything. Everything. No marijuana. No nothing. No Suboxone to keep me steady or whatever. To keep me from getting sick. I didn't need none of it. Didn't want any of it. I didn't want anything to take me out of reality. And then, probably this time last year, around or after Christmas, definitely after Christmas, I got sick, and I said, screw it. I bought myself a cart, and then I said, it was just this one cart for when I'm sick so I could get to sleep, you know, a medical marijuana cart. And then 2-3 days later when I'm done with that, so I went through it pretty quick. It was probably actually only a day or two, because that's the type of person I am. One is never enough, or what is it? One is too much, and 1,000 or 1,000,000 is never enough for me. It's how I am. Because of those fears that I have. So anyway, back to the story. I bought a cart. I used it to help me get to sleep. You know, I had a fever or whatever. And when that one ran out, immediately, I bought another cart. And then I told myself, oh, well, I'm only using it to get to sleep. It's medical, right? I have a prescription. I have a reason. When in reality, I knew in the back of my head, betraying myself, I knew that it was just an excuse. That's all it was. I don't need anything to help me sleep other than the Lord, the Lord's peace, because that's what my problem is with sleep. I'll roll over 1,000,000 times in that bed, stay up all night, TV off, pitch black room, whatever, no distractions, and I'll just sit there and I will roll and just think about everything that I'm scared of, or situations that have happened in the past. I can't believe I'm able to admit this stuff right now, because I'm the type of person that likes to act like he's above being scared, or above feelings, above wanting to love somebody, you know, because this world has told me that that's not cool, that that's corny, That's what simps do, weak men do. And real men don't care about women. Real men cheat on their women. Real men only care about making money. Real men don't care about love. That's what this world will try to trick you into thinking, as if we're not all humans, all going through the same thing. As if God didn't give these feelings to us for a reason. You've got an ego. You've got a really big ego. But at the same time, what comes with that ego, that giant, how do I explain it? That oversized ego that I let get out of hand again. What comes with that is self-deprecation. And you see how the ego is smaller than the self-deprecation? It's for a reason. This isn't an accident. I'm doing this on purpose. Because that self-deprecation, no matter how hard you try to convince yourself in the world that you're above these things, that you're better than feeling bad about yourself, or you're better than having that yearning and wanting feeling for a companion to spend your life with, somebody to provide for and care for, somebody to just love with all your heart. This world will tell you that's not cool. So anyway, like I said, that ego and believing those things leads to this self-deprecation that is much bigger than the ego. The ego can't overcome it. It's impossible. That's why I do this representation for you. See, the funny thing is about having a big ego, putting on a front, like you're tough, or you're cold, you're stone cold, cold-hearted, like all the rap music likes to say, right? All those rap songs talk about. I mean, Young Thug's got a song that's literally called Heart Cold. I love that song. Since I was a child, I love that song. Because to me, that's what being a man is. Having a cold heart and being closed off to any love. Because that's weakness, somehow. Somehow my brain has contrived that as weakness, right? I'll tell you how. It's because that's what the world promotes. It's what the world tells you. It's what the devil tells you. Because the devil came to kill, steal, and destroy. He didn't come to show you what real love is. That's what Jesus did. Anyway, feeling like you're better than these things leads to self-deprecation. I'm going to break it down further for you. So this ego that I have, it's built on nothing but fear. Fear in living in the past. And what's funny about having this massive ego, right, is that it comes from fear. It's hilarious to me, because I'll think to myself, you try to convince yourself in the world that you couldn't care less. When you know, deep down, you're just contradicting the way you really feel. And that is what a scared, weak person would do. And that's what I am. I'm scared, and I'm weak. And that's the God's honest truth. This week, been 4 nights in a row where I just completely forgot to say the Our Father. Something I say every single night. And like I said in the beginning of the video, the way I used to pray, the way I used to spend time with God and meditate on the Word. I could sit there for 8 hours straight and do it. I've done that before. I have done that before. I mean, if I'm being honest, the longest time I've spent in meditation with God on His Word, from going from reading the Bible to praying to meditating on what I just read and prayed about, back to reading the Bible and praying on what I just learned, and then meditating on that Word in my prayers. The longest I've gone doing that, and I used to do it almost every single night, probably 6-7 hours. No joke. 6-7 hours with no break. And no desire to do anything else but that. And I've lost it. Lost it along the way. And I know where it started at. I'm not trying to put blame on anybody else. It started with that cart. It started before that. It started before the cart. It started before the drug use. I went from a job where I was closed off and protected from the world. I worked night shift as a security guard. There was nobody else around me. So the only person I had influencing me was God, was Jesus, was the Word, and the church. Because I would go to church every Sunday. And I love that feeling I get from church. Even now still, now that I have a hard time getting myself up and going to church, if I do it, the feeling I get during and afterwards, it's like no high any drug has ever given me. But I still shy away from going to church, and that's also out of fear. It's out of fear of not being accepted, because I sin as if I'm perfect, or I'm supposed to be perfect, when we're all human. There was one perfect man, and it was Jesus Christ. That was God in the flesh. I'm not God. I don't know why I let myself ever think that, those people's judgments, if there is even any of me, why they even matter to me. Because in reality, they don't matter. Only God matters. Yet, I'm still scared of that. And maybe it's laziness. No, it's not. That's not honest. Yeah, laziness is a part of it, don't get me wrong. But that's not the reason. That's not the reason at all. Laziness is a side effect of the real reason, which is fear. That's a fact. If you want to talk about laziness, my room right now is, I don't have a sheet on my bed. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 bags of DoorDash just from this week. A bottle of vodka right there. There's a margarita mixer right there. A bottle of margarita mixer right there. A weed tray right here. With, I don't know, but half ounce of weed on it. Rolling papers, grinder, all that. I'm not even going to tell you what's directly in front of me. I'm too embarrassed to admit that. I don't want people to know that that's how bad it's gotten. I don't want my grandmother to see this and know. I don't want my pastor to see this and know how far and how bad it's really gotten. I mean, just this week, these past 3 weeks, the things I've done that I said I would never do again. It all adds up to my misery and my exhaustion in my head, mental exhaustion. It all adds up. I'm a walking contradiction. Doing things I said I'd never do again. Worrying about what people think about me. Putting on this tough guy front. This front that my ego's so big and I love myself so much that I don't need anyone else around me, when that's not true. It's hard for me to find love for myself. It really is. You can definitely see how that would lead to being worn out. And how I would become lazy from that. It's my fault. It's my fault. I don't know why I'm making this video. I hope it helps somebody. I do. All I know is I'm weak. I'm a weak individual. And I need God's strength in my life every single day. There's nothing that can replace that. I've tried. Tried with weed, tried with alcohol, tried with drugs, tried with females. And nothing works. Nothing does it. Because I need a power greater than myself, greater than the demons that I face every single day, that I let get to me. But that's what the ego will do to you, man. That is what the ego will do to you. You let that ego get big enough, you hang out with enough people, because you are the sum of the 5 people you most hang around with. If you hang out with secular individuals, if you hang out with people that are involved in the street life, you'll find yourself becoming that. It's interesting, man. It really is. How the human mind works, and how stupid we can be. Thinking we know everything. Really, we know nothing. I don't know if I want to get back to that peace. I don't know. I don't feel worthy of it. But that's the thing. None of us are. We're not worthy of the peace that God gives us. We're not worthy of God's promises. We're not worthy of salvation. We're not worthy of any of those things. We're not worthy of God's love. But that's not the point. That's why I have such a hard time getting through my head sometimes. That's not the point. Salvation is a gift. And to think of it as anything else is disrespectful to God. Straight up. To think that you could do it on your own is disrespectful to God. I heard the saying one time. You might be able to jump higher than me, but neither one of us is getting anywhere near the moon. If we both tried to jump towards the moon, we're not getting anywhere close to it. That is the same thing as comparing a human's goodness to God's goodness. There is no comparison. It's so far above us that we could never, ever, ever obtain it. And I know God lets me go through these tests to teach me things. And I'm starting to regain a little bit of my hope, a little bit of my faith, making this video. Because no matter how far I've fallen back into the same old bad things, I've learned new lessons from them. It feels like God's been testing me. It feels like I've been failing, and I have. But with that failure comes new knowledge. You have to experience these things to know who you really are, to know what you're made of, to know that God's promises are true. Who knows? Tomorrow is a new day. I can end up overdosing and dying, crashing my car, dying because I was high behind the wheel or drunk. I could tomorrow continue to use drugs and alcohol to cope with my own shortcomings and my own fears. Or maybe tomorrow I wake up and I say I'm done. I don't know what'll happen. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm ready or anything like that, because I don't know if I am. I don't know. All I know is I can honestly say it's been hard. It's been hard, but I'm grateful because, like I said, you can't learn these things any other way. I could tell it to you, and you could tell it to me. I've been told some of these things before, a lot of these things. At least for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I have to go through it to learn. I have to suffer. I have to feel the pain. I have to self-destruct, I guess. Because that's really what I've been doing. Just going down a path that leads nowhere but closer and closer to self-destruction and self-hatred. You know, back in 2018, I was 16 years old. And, you know, I usually lie to people about this because I'm scared of the truth. And say that, oh, I overdosed, just trying to get high. But if you knew what I took, you would know that it was a suicide attempt. And I can't lie to myself about that, no matter how much I lie to the world and say that, oh yeah, I overdosed and died, whatever, I was just trying to get high. That's what I told probation at the time, because I got locked up for that. That's what I told all the counselors at the treatment facilities I was sent to after that. Or not treatment centers, detention centers. That's what I would tell the counselors, the drug and alcohol counselor. It wasn't true. It wasn't true. I was just scared of admitting how weak I can be, or how weak I was, or how weak I am. It's a hard thing to admit. Man, is it the truth? And I can't do it without God. I can't do it. If I keep going this way, if I continue to suppress my true self, indifference for my ego, and serving my fears, I will end up killing myself. Maybe not on purpose. I'm not saying it would be a suicide. But the things that I get myself involved in are just stupidly dangerous. I've always been that type of guy that I want to live on the edge. I want to get as close to death's door as I possibly can. And you know, there have been times where I wanted to enter death's door, plenty of times. More times than I can count, since I was probably 7, 8 years old. And I can sit here and blame my childhood, blame all the people that hurt me, bruised me, abused me. The parental figures I was supposed to have, to look up to teach me things, it did nothing but make me doubt myself, make me doubt my place in the world. They taught me how to use drugs. They taught me about the street life indirectly by continuing to live the lives that they'd always lived, even though they had children in the house. I'm not talking about my father. He's a great man. He's gone through a lot, and I've seen him give up a lot just for his kids. It takes a strong man to do that. But it wasn't always me and my dad. Having a single father usually means that you're going to end up living with quite a few people. At least having a single father like mine that works as hard as mine does. There were times where, so this is my last video, I think I did at least, where we were sleeping in a van under a bridge together, me and my father, and I was only 8, 9, 10 years old, Times where I was living with my aunt, who's not with us anymore. Times where I was living with my grandparents, who weren't with us anymore. Times where I was living with my grandmother. Times where Nick wasn't allowed to come home because mom and dad are fighting, or it's not safe at the apartments right now. Nick, you can't come to the apartments because it's not safe. I've always been shrouded in fear, I will be honest with you, ever since I was a little kid. I remember I lived in a house once where our bed was right in front of the front door. Tiny little house, it was crooked, on a hill. Half of it was burnt down. And I used to stay awake every single night. And I remember this so vividly. Just watching the front door and waiting for somebody to come in and try to hurt me. And it never happened. But that fear never went away. My bed is always set up in a position so I can watch my door. I've always had some kind of weapon easily accessible. And it still never helped me sleep. Tired of living in fear, man. Tired of it. Because I know that my fear of suffering will only lead to more suffering, as it always has in my life. Like I said, I keep coming back to these roadblocks and these situations, wondering how I got back to it. It's because of fear. It's because of my ego. I hope that helps somebody. God bless y'all.